welcome
Thank you.
to Spice FM. Delighted to have you on our radio show. It's a show about news, views, and one or two clues. And why I'm particularly excited to have you on is not only are you Super Sam, but also you're taking the lead in championing some of our ambitions on making the Northeast a better place.
Yeah.
So let's kick off, if I may, Sam, with who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me this morning. I'm really excited. So, as you said, I'm Sam Spoors. I own a business called TalentHeads, which is a disruptive international talent business. And we focus on helping businesses who are growing with their recruitment, their development, and their retention so they can build high-performing teams. But that's all well and good. But the bit that really gets me out of bed in the morning is actually using our specialism to make sure that people are seen as more than a number. You know, people are seen as individuals, and the recruitment, the development, the retention, all the bits that we help businesses with. For me, it's about making sure that we get back to the basics around what is an individual, what are individuals looking for, and how do we include those people in our businesses when we're looking to grow the way that lots of businesses are looking to grow.
Great. And why do you do it, Sam?
Why do I do it? Because you know what? My market, the recruitment market, is saturated by lots of people who have done the same things for a lot of years. And I think that my specialism needs to change, and I want to be the disruptor. I want us to be the business that's going out there and saying we need to do things differently. Everything else has evolved, and I want to be part of that, that part of that kind of evolvement, so to speak, around how we can do things differently.
Brilliant, brilliant. So, just a little bit of context on this show, our audience, and I'm probably going to ask you some stupid questions, right?
Good.
And the reason why I say that is they're the best questions.
Yeah.
So our audience, so Spice FM, community radio show, been going for a very long time, as has our show. I feel incredibly old when I think about it, but we've been doing this for gosh, like 13, 14 years now. So Jalf and I have been co-hosting this show, and one of the reasons is not only to share some of our experiences and knowledge, but get experts like you on. It's also an excuse for me and Jalf to catch up because he's a really good friend, right? So every Friday we catch up and have a bit of a chin wag. Our audience ranges from diverse communities, people sat at home, to business leaders, community leaders, political leaders, and people internationally. So if I ask you some questions on, well, what is a typical recruitment agency or whatever that is? Because that's what I'm going to start with, right? As in,
Yeah.
so tell me, what is a recruitment agency? What does a recruitment person do? What is it that you're trying to change? And what does that look like? So recruitment agencies do what, Sam?
Recruitment agencies have usually an ATS, applicant tracking system, that houses lots and lots of different CVs, and they work with multiple businesses and they farm CVs out to those businesses that are looking to recruit and hire new team members. So it's very kind of CV heavy, very kind of quick, fast, furious. I need a hire starting on Monday, or indeed in a month's time. Have you got some CVs? Send them across and see if any of them fit.
Okay. And if I'm an individual, I would use a recruitment agency to get me a job. Is that right?
Yes. Individuals can speak to recruitment agencies, and recruitment agencies will take their requirements, what they're looking for, location, what type of business they would like to work for, what salary expectations, when they can start, all of that information, and then they'll marry you up with a job opportunity as a job opportunity comes in.
And then on the other side, recruitment agencies will find people for business organizations.
Yeah, they can headhunt, so they can go and tap people on the shoulder who they believe match the requirement of the role, and feed them with more information about the business and the opportunity, and try and get them included in the recruitment process on behalf of the business.
So not dissimilar to a dating agency.
Yes, yes. It's matching people with jobs rather than people with their future partners.
Yeah. So people, but still people with people, right?
It
Is what
is
it
people
is.
with
So
people.
it's okay. So thank you for that. And you wanted to do this. Why?
I wanted to do this because that model that I've just described there is a model that has not changed in the 20 plus years that I've worked in recruitment. So what I wanted to do was to change that by actually not chasing jobs and chasing individuals, to put them together and to charge a big fee, because that's what pretty much, that's how it all works out. I wanted my business to go in and work with businesses so we could use their brand to go out and identify the right individuals with the right skill set, but also the right values and the right mission and the right cultural fit. So actually those businesses could grow by kind of accruing their own talent rather than going to recruitment agencies and buying a CV. I really wanted to kind of go in there and really understand, to be part of the legacy with businesses that are growing, and really understanding who are the right people for that business, and how do we get those in and how do we retain them after we've recruited them.
Amazing, amazing. That's so exciting. So is that the difference then?
Yeah.
Your what you would call secret sauce, or your unique selling point, or whatever term, is that you look at personalities and people rather than just purely a process.
Absolutely. So we are looking for the right people for that business. We haven't got a database where we are kind of taking candidates and we're putting them across lots of different roles and just hoping that one of them sticks. For us, it's about being so absorbed in the team. We become the extended HR people team, and we become the recruitment lead, and we become the learning and development lead. So we can truly go out there and speak to individuals, candidates, people who are job seeking, about why that role is great for them, because we know that business inside out and back to front, and it's as if we already work within that business. So the candidate gets such a better experience. They're so better prepared for interviews. The business knows that the candidates who are coming through have all been selected for them rather than just who's available. It's just a very different way of thinking, and we don't charge placement fees as well, which is important.
So what does that mean then? You don't charge placement fees. What does that mean?
So stereotypically within the industry, one individual is successful, then the company pays the recruitment agency a fee for that appointment. For us, it's about quality. So I don't really care how many people we get for the businesses that we support, because for us, it's about going out and finding the right people and looking at things like your employer brand, looking at, who are the type of individuals that we're looking for, and all those types of things instead. So people buy time from us rather than by people. And I think that just ensures the quality and the long term is there, rather than this kind of hand to mouth, knee jerky, let's just try and fill this role as quickly as possible. And one of my pet hates is putting bums on seats. I don't believe in that. It's more about, taking the time, the consideration, working more strategically to identify the type of individuals who are going to really work best in those businesses.
And do you, as part of that support, Sam, do you work with businesses on their broader culture and their broader talent retention and recruitment? Because in certain circumstances, and I don't know, this is a question, an organization might go, right, well, we need to go out and find somebody, whereas actually someone coming in and looking at how they already operate and whether they've got the right people in the right role doing the right things might bring a lot more efficiency to them.
Yes, absolutely. So the 4 things that TalentHeads do are talent strategy. We become the internal recruitment team for growing businesses. We become the internal learning development team for growing businesses, and we coach. So for us, we believe if all 4 of those elements come together, then you will get talent success. So the talent strategy side is absolutely, working with the senior leaders in the business, working across the business as well, because I think that's really important when you establish values and things too. But really working with the business to understand, what are our values? What is our EVP, our employee value proposition? Who have we got currently in teams? What are the skill gaps? What are our competitors doing that we need to be aware of? How do we make sure we get the talent over our competitors? All that kind of analysis. Once we get the people in, what are we going to do with them to retain them? How are we going to engage them? How are we going to help them thrive? So we've really got one section of our 4 offerings, which purely just looks at right, what is the organisation? What do we need? What is the long-term plan? How do we get all of our ducks in a row, so to speak, so that then we can go out and recruit and then retain the people?
Amazing. Okay, so that's really, really helpful. All right, so I'm now gonna ask you for your secrets, because obviously that's what we do. And I don't mean your PIN number, but you're very welcome to. But I'm talking about top tips for. So let's start with individuals, right? So you've spent a couple of decades. You don't look old enough. Obviously, it must have been a work experience thing that you done when you started in this industry. But I'm looking for a job, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking for a job, and what type of things should I consider when preparing? Well, give me some tips on what I need to do to make sure that I'm presenting myself in the best way I can, and that I've sort of identified what the best role is for me. Give me some career advice.
Yeah. So I would always suggest, I think as a job seeker, there's nothing more disheartening than just applying, going on to Indeed or one of the job boards and just pressing apply, 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 apply. And we see on LinkedIn loads of people saying, I've been job searching for 4 months or 10 months or 12 months, and it becomes really disheartening and people really start to take a bit of confidence off people. I think job seekers, the best way to do your search for the right role is to start researching the types of businesses you want to work for. Understand that first, and then proactively go out and target the businesses that you want to work for. So rather than letting the job market take that control from you and you just wait for the roles to be uploaded and then you apply and then you're being put in with these other 100 people who have also applied for the role, definitely take the time to say, right, what's the type of business that's going to be right for me? In previous organizations, I've thrived because of what? What kind of values did the business have? What kind of culture did they have? What kind of people do you work best in? What kind of product do you want to be associated with, or service do you want to be associated with? And get to know that about yourself first, and then make your search for the right role more targeted, and you'll get a lot more out of that, rather than just kind of hoping, because it can be a full-time job itself, just searching for a new role, and it can be quite hard work.
And I suppose there's an element of desperation there as well, isn't there?
Yeah.
So,
And
um,
you're not going to be right for every job. And I think that we all know that as individuals, we're not right for every partner and all of those different kind of things in life. And I think you take the control back when you acknowledge that and start really just looking at opportunities that are right for you, because then your chances of being successful in that are highly, highly higher. So that you don't need to feel as if you're just putting an application in and you go, there's no chance that I'm going to get that. You're already then starting to really kind of lose a little bit of that confidence and that self-esteem that you really need to have when you're searching for a role.
yeah, great tip. So, okay, I have now decided I want to work in or for a particular sector. I've equally identified. Let's choose housing as an example. I don't know why, but let's just choose housing. I want
Yeah.
to work in housing, right? I want to work in social housing, and I have limited experience in it. Right. So I'm aware of it. My family might have had some properties, and actually the reason why I want to do social housing rather than private housing is it makes a bigger difference to the people who need it. And there's some, I've got an attachment to that, and I want to do something. What type of things could I do, Sam, to improve my chances of, well, how do I better understand
Mhm.
who's out there, and then how do I improve my chances of getting past the first stage?
Yeah, I've firstly got to say that if you identify a certain sector because of its purpose, you're in a much better position when you write your cover letter or you start to engage with decision makers within that business. Because if you can speak to them about the values and the reason that they get out of bed and the reason why they've chosen to do what they've chosen, you've naturally got that connection with that individual. So if you're looking for something because of the purpose, that I definitely think that is something that that needs to lead your interactions with anyone within that business. What I would also say is everyone now is online. So if you've got access to being online, follow their social media accounts, have a look on their website. If they're holding webinars that you can get included in, are they going to be at certain places talking about certain things? Who are the individuals, say on LinkedIn or on different methods? And can you connect with them just nicely and just watch them behind the scenes and see what's going on? Get that information so that if you do get an interview with them, you might not have the experience, but you can talk wholeheartedly and passionately about the reasons why they should invest the time in you to upskill you, to give you the skills, but you've already got the values and everything that will help you be a really good team member. So yeah, my advice would be, if you want social housing, have a look on Google, have a look on, do a search. Where are the housing providers? Who are the main contacts within those housing providers? Where are they? What are they doing? Follow them, absorb as much information as possible, and then get yourself something together that basically says, this is why I want to work for your business, and reach out to the appropriate person and say, I'd love to chat for a coffee. I'm really keen about what you're doing. You might not have an opportunity for me right now, but I am looking right now. Can we connect? Can we have that interaction? That's a lovely experience as well. Much better than just shoving a CV to an advert.
Amazing tip. Wonderful advice there, Sam. Obviously, just to be clear, the advice that we share on this radio show comes on the basis that it's just advice. It's it's
Absolutely.
very generic. It cannot be used for any particular purpose, nor should it be. If you're looking for proper contractual legal advice, then get the right support. Anyway,
I'm glad we've covered that.
I need to, well, only because then, if someone goes, well, gets charged for stalking or whatever it is, because
Oh, I'm not promoting stalking. I'm not promoting stalking.
no, but as in there is a balance, and actually, I say that with a little bit of tongue in cheek, because all too often people sort of stop on the first hurdle.
Yeah.
Right. So you've reached out to someone, you haven't heard back from them, you feel a bit rejected, you feel a bit sorry for yourself, and you then leave it. I know, and I'm using extreme examples of, I remember years ago, Richard Branson came up here, and I remember talking to him, and I was like, oh gosh, Richard Branson, you're here. It was an evening and whatever else, and I'm talking to him, and I'm going, well, how would I have ever, connected with you unless you were here, type of thing. He says, Ammar, there's a number of people who have reached out to me persistently, right, and they've used different ways and different mechanisms and whatever else. And he says, those that show persistence, eventually, I have connected with.
Yeah.
And I've responded, and I've gone, oh my gosh, I would never have thought of just reaching out. And I mean, this was ages ago, right? This is before, I think this is when everyone was communicating on Etch-a-Sketches or whatever it was. I don't think digital devices existed then, but I remember having a pager, but that was a different era, is what it was. But your point around, sort of following people up, doing your research, showing and sharing your passion, I think is key, right?
Yeah. And also remember as well, you can follow the figureheads within the business and you can try and reach out and connect with them. But these businesses will have HR functions and they will have recruitment functions, and that's their jobs. Their jobs are to engage with future talent. So, asking their advice around, can I do some work experience in your business? These people will be expecting these kind of approaches as well. And as long as you've got a reason to reach out to them and, you've given them something that's a strong hook, they shouldn't be upset about that. They want to be identifying future talent as well. So, yeah, I think, the figurehead, it's great to connect with them and hear what they're saying. So you've got that kind of insight when you do get an interview, when you do go through the door. But actually there are HR teams and recruitment teams, like I said, who will be looking to engage with individuals who genuinely believe and share the passion for what they're doing and what they're part of too.
Okay, great. Some great advice. So coming on to organizations, Sam.
Mhm.
We've got a range of organizations, right? And some of the functions that exist within organizations are usually because of the size, scale, and scope of the organization, right?
Mhm.
So, Jaff, perfect example. He's now got 100 and odd staff working across 3 sites, incredibly busy, hugely popular, Michelin star type restaurants and everything else. He's organically grown and has a great team, but may not have considered the value or the benefits of a particular talent or L&D function because actually the way they do it is quite unique and whatever else. But so and I'm picking on Jaff wrongly because he's not here, but there's a range of businesses, similar businesses across all sectors, across all communities that may not have thought about the value of bringing in an external talent L&D coach, learning and development organization. Why should they and why would they? And what's the benefit on to them, including their bottom line?
Yeah.
Because there's a cost associated with it, right?
Yeah, there is a cost associated with it. But the benefit is that we all know how hard it is and how competitive it is. Every single business talks about the war of talent, getting the right people in, not just getting them in, but then keeping them. So it has to be long term and it has to be strategic. And I think a business there's only a certain amount of time a business can go, I've got a role, let's just go to market. I've got a role, let's go to market, on and off, kind of hand to mouth. I think that's only a short-term strategy. I think if you've got proper growth plans and you really want to grow, you need to find the right people, and that takes a little bit longer. So that investment in bringing someone in who can advise on things like I said earlier, what are your competitors doing that you need to do better so that you can attract the talent over them? It just helps you get your brand out there, get your business out there so that you're one step ahead. You're not then suddenly thinking, right, I've got a chef position. And we all know how hard, say, chefs are, for example, to recruit. What you don't want to be doing is suddenly a chef walks out on the Saturday night and then you've got no talent pipeline at all, no one that you're working with internally to be able to train them to be in that role. And you haven't got a talent pipeline of chefs who are sitting waiting to be employed by you. And then your bottom line will be affected because your customers will be unhappy, your teams will be dissatisfied because it's not that person, that figurehead in the kitchen. I mean, that's an example. People, it's quite transient. You need to be ready for that.
Yeah. And talking about people, so thank you for that. So you've explained the value and benefit of what an organization can do and create them, and why they might do it. What's the benefits though from a bottom line perspective, Sam? As in,
Yeah.
to those, and I mean these are obvious to you and I, but to those organizations where they have a transient workforce where they're having to constantly think about recruitment and then retention, but doing very little retention stuff.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than putting all the time and effort in to get your people and then to lose them. And the impact on your bottom line is that actually it has an impact on services and the service that you provide. But the bottom line is that basically you might end up having to pay agency costs if you need to go and find an individual. And those agency costs are thousands of pounds in some of the cases. But then more importantly, when you buy in talent, so you pay for that you're not getting the engagement and the belief and the longer term. And if you're going through people and they're leaving because they haven't been the right fit in the first instance. And if you've paid for them, that's even worse. You're going to be in a position where your bottom line is absolutely affected by that. The aha moment is where you get your team in, they're all happy, they're engaged, they're thriving, your customers are happy with the people that you've selected, and those people stay. And they stay because you've selected them, because they believe in what you do, and they stay because you've invested in them, you've trained them, you've listened to what they need to be successful personally and professionally, and that will make your bottom line continue to increase. The bumps as people leave, as you have to pay a recruitment fee, as someone stays a year rather than 2 years, all those different things will absolutely have an impact on your bottom line, because you have to then shell out time as well as money to be able to find the right people and then keep them.
Amazing. So bottom line, time.
Yeah.
Time is money,
Time is
literally.
money. Yeah.
You know, and every time you bring someone new in, you then I think there's a cost between 10 and 30,000 pound is the suggestion to what it is, Sam.
Yeah, it's right. If you get it wrong, you've got the cost of that 20 to 30,000 pounds, depending on the salary, but you've also got the knock-on effects of how your team feel when they're doing 3 people's job rather than the one job that they signed up to, when they question the reasons why you employed that person, when they weren't your type of person, they didn't fit in with the culture. You start questioning your managerial styles, that you've made that decision. The time that other people have invested in that person as well, doing shadowing with them and uniforms and all of that sort of stuff as well. That's all costs to the business that would have been accrued, and that person just walks out the door and you've got to start all over again.
It is, and you do. So really top tips and advice. Sam, for the last 2 minutes or so, want to talk about inclusion and what it means to you, please, because you're one of our Inclusion by Default champions. You're kindly hosting a roundtable next week, and I'm equally excited about that. But what does inclusion mean to you?
Inclusion means to me around being able to maximise the talent and include everyone in our communities. So having that awareness, having our eyes open, looking at the full breadth of every individual we've got in our communities, and have everyone able to access, stay, apply, have a brilliant journey, and have an opportunity to secure the role that they need for the future. So yeah, for me, it's about maximising talent pools and making sure individuals have the opportunity to grow within our communities through employment.
And I love that response, because it is about people. That's what inclusion is all about, right? It's people finding a space, their own place, being tolerated and accepted in certain places as well. But coming on to your own experiences as a woman, Sam. Tell me, when have you been excluded, and how has that made you feel?
Yeah, Ammar, you and I have talked about this historically. I've got 2 children. I've got 4 children, 2 girls and 2 boys. And I genuinely believe, as a mother, they both will have, both genders will have the same opportunities. However, the reality is that actually, maybe that might not be the case. However, my perspective as a woman going through the career path, being very ambitious, being very, very driven, and now being a business owner, there are definitely things that have happened previously that may have put me off or other people off, but I've always kind of sidestepped them and just moved on and just pushed forward. And I'm absolutely determined with all 4 of our children to do exactly the same with them. Just keep pushing. So yeah, I think we all have those things that challenge us.
Wonderful. I love the positivity. Thank you, Sam. We've come to the end of the show. It happens really quickly. Some amazing tips there. There's going to be lots of output from our Inclusion by Default, so people will be able to connect and follow you on various different spaces and places. And if anyone wants a separate chat, we'll share those details separately. But you've been listening to Ammar and Sam live on our weekly radio show right here on Spice FM. Thank you ever so much, Sam.
Thank you.
And I'll see you next week.
See you next week. See
Take
you
care.
later.
Bye bye.
Bye.